you can go over these slides on your own and just read more about the Alberta Catalyzer Velocity program that we got into. So finally, who am I? What's my name? My name is Elizabeth Nana, and I am a product manager and senior agile project manager here at Analytics with half a decade of experience in product and project management. Who is Elizabeth, really? I don't like to, blow my own horn. I would have preferred if someone else was doing this introduction, but Elizabeth is a skilled leader and a coach for agile teams. So I want you to take that. If you take nothing tonight, I want you to take that I am a coach. I'm an agile coach, and I've consistently been able to drive impactful, results. I've also been able to guide over 1,000 individuals with no prior agile or tech experience in making a smooth transition into project management. I've trained over, like I mentioned, over 1,000 professionals across 4 continents, and my experience spans across the multiple sectors that we have, including health technology, financial technology, and educational technology, where I have also been able to apply my deep understanding and knowledge of, agile methodologies. So what are we here to do today? I mean, we're talking about why, agile project management is the best course for you to transition into if you have, a no tech background, right? But how are we going to, just discuss that? We're going to talk about user stories on Jira. I'm going to walk you through the pathway to actually becoming an agile project manager. I'll walk you through the 10 Analytics Growth Internship Program and also our special discount offer for you today. So just to make sure that, I've not been just talking to myself, I want us to, maybe just feel free. I don't know, is this the very first masterclass that we are, you're attending? If this is your first masterclass here at Analytics, maybe drop a 1. If this is your second, just drop any number of choice, maybe 2 or 3. I'll be looking in the chat just to make sure, I've not bored us to sleep yet. I mean, it's still pretty early, so let's see. I'm checking in the chats, everyone. So please just drop, a number. If this is your first session, your first masterclass, please drop 1. If this is your second, drop 2. If this is your third, drop 3. Okay, Ifeanyi says 1. Welcome, Ifeanyi. We're really happy to have you. Emmanuel says 1 as well. Tracy says 1. Oh, wow. We have a lot of newbies here. Okay, that's great. That's fantastic. So now, when we talk about tech, what comes to mind first? What comes to mind, if you hear tech, when you hear tech, oh, I work in tech, I'm trying to break into tech, just type anything in the chat. What actually comes to mind? What do you think about, when you hear tech? Anybody? Contributions, please. I work with Ginger, actually. So if you're not gingering me, my energy is actually going to be very low to continue the session. So what do you think when you think tech? When you hear tech, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Learn and make money. You're so real for that. So I don't know you. I can see your name as iPhone, but you are so real for that. Learn and make money. Somebody said computer coding. Fantastic. That's what I really wanted to hear. So it's very, very possible to actually break into the tech ecosystem or the tech space without writing a single line of code. Now, I promise you, you do not have to know how to write anything at all. You do not have to know how to write code at all. You can just break into the tech space without, learning how to write code. Agile project management sort of opens an exciting gateway into the tech industry for non-coders, and it helps to blend leadership, collaboration, and strategic insights to drive impactful results. Now you're wondering, why agile project management? I mean, I'm sure there are other, courses that you might think about when you're talking about breaking into tech without having a coding experience. So why agile project management? Now you can see on my screen here, I've, taken the liberty to, just go out there and you do some sort of research and come up with 5 different reasons why you should choose agile project management. First, we're saying high demand across industries. So what this means is, tech companies, startups, healthcare, finance, across different industries, every single person, every single organization, every single company is adopting Agile. Every industry has projects. And, Agile project managers are at the heart of actually delivering successful projects. Now, then we talk about hands-on contribution without actually having technical skills. So you as an Agile project manager, what you're going to be bringing to the table is structure. You're going to be bringing strategy, and you're going to be bringing customer focus to projects. So you're going to help teams to deliver solutions that will truly solve their user problems without having to write a single line of code. I feel like I need to keep saying that, without actually having to write a single line of code. And then we talk about why Agile project management is perfect for non-coders. As an Agile project manager, you focus more on managing teams. You focus more on setting priorities right in your team and also delivering value. So you're not going to be writing any code at all. You're going to be focused more on delivering value for your team. And then in Agile projects, sorry, give me a sec. In Agile projects, management, there are a lot of transferable skills like communication, skills like problem solving, skills like organization. This is actually your superpower as, an Agile project manager. And then we talk about flexibility in career growth. Now, in Agile project management, there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of career pathways open to you. Like I like to tell people, like it is very possible. You're not just going to stay boxed.
The move when they make. Me, I don't understand the strongest thing.
Can you
Yeah, I know. Wait.
All right, great. So if you have any issues, please just put it in the chat box instead of unmuting your mic. Thank you very much. So you don't distract the session. Okay, so I think I'm experiencing some technical issues. So just give me a couple of minutes. Let me come back to this session and see what is going on. Okay, give me a second. All right, fantastic. So we were talking about flexibility in career growth, and I was talking about the myriad of opportunities that is made available to you, just in Agile project management. You can easily, just after taking this course, you can easily transition into roles like, Scrum Master, a product owner, or even a business analyst. I'm sure a lot of us have heard lots of things about business analysts and business analysis. Yes, with a foundation in Agile project management, you can easily make this transition. And this Agile, sort of like just helps to open up the doors, to also leadership positions as well. So what this means is you can also grow into being a C-suite executive, a CEO, just opening up roles to these leadership positions and these leadership roles. Then finally, we talk about alignment, or how Agile project management is aligned with future trends. I mentioned earlier, a lot of organizations are transitioning, are trying to adopt the Agile methodology. So Agile is a must-have skill for a lot of organizations now, especially organizations in tech, right? And all these companies need Agile experts to come on board, people that are going to stay competitive and just make sure that, as things are changing, constantly changing in the tech space, these people are on top of things for them in their company. Let's talk about what, actually makes Agile project managers shine. What is that core skill? What is that one thing that we're going to be talking about today that you need to have, in your pockets? You need to have it in the bag as an Agile project manager. We're talking about user stories. I'm going to, delve into user stories as we move on, right? But why does writing user stories actually matter? Agile project managers don't write code. I mentioned that earlier. All we do is we translate business needs into clear, actionable user stories that developers can build from. Now, your unique advantage as an Agile project manager is that you're not going to be writing code, but your ability to understand the business needs and the user perspective, like what your users actually need, is what will help you to write effective user stories that can, be very practical, be impactful, and be aligned with the project goals of your organization. Now, what is the connection here? User stories I mean, I don't know if this is the first time we're hearing about user stories, but user stories are like the ultimate tool. When people think about tools, as a project manager or as a business analyst, you're thinking about, your technical tools, you're thinking about Jira, you're thinking about Trello, which is actually really important. But what is the ultimate tool for an agile project manager or a business analyst? And you want to be able to what? Collaborate effectively with tech teams. Because remember, you're not exactly writing code. So you might be scared that, you're not speaking their language, but you want to be able to collaborate effectively with them and work with them. And also to ensure that whatever products that you're building meets the user needs, that's the needs of the end user, and the business needs, which is the needs of your organization and company. So am I making sense so far? I want to see emojis in the chat just to make sure that I'm carrying everyone along. You can give me a thumbs up or, whatever emoji you want to share. Let me make sure I'm actually making sense. You're feeling me. Just let me know you're feeling me. Thank you so much, Tracy. So now let's dive right into the heart of the matter. We're talking about mastering, user stories as an agile project manager or as a business analyst. So we're going to be doing like a deep dive, into what it entails, what it actually takes to write a user story as an agile project manager that is managing a team. While there are a lot of, project management tools out there, we have Asana, we have Zoho Project, we have ClickUp, we have Trello, we have, Microsoft projects. Today, we're going to be using Jira as a case study. Now, Jira is one of the most popular, project management tools. It's used for project management, task tracking, and collaboration. And it is one that most of these organizations currently use for collaboration within teams today. Now, as a project manager, you're most likely going to be managing a cross-functional team, right? Meaning your team might consist of developers, you have your graphic designers or your UI UX designer, your tester, right? And while managing this team, you want to be able to have sort of like a visual board where you can check the progress and work of every single person team. And that is where tools like Jira come in. So let's get right into it. We're talking about user stories now. So what are user stories? We can't even start talking about user stories without, talking about the Scrum framework, right? If you're here right now, you probably have basic understanding, or at least if you don't even have an understanding, you've probably heard about agile methodologies. You just hear people saying agile, agile, agile. You don't necessarily know what it is, but you can just signify in the chat as well, with a thumbs up or a thumbs down if the word agile is something that you're familiar with. If it's something that you have heard before, you can just signify thumbs up, thumbs down. You don't have to know it, but if it's something that you've just heard, when you're speaking to people say, oh, we are agile, this company, even when you're applying to jobs and you say an agile workspace, an agile environment, we come across words like that, right? Tracy says yes. Tracy is actually the only person. We have 28 participants on this call, and Tracy is the only person engaging. That's the person that's, keeping me here with this smile on my face. It's not easy. Come on. That's not easy. So I'm going to need, when I throw questions to the house, I'm going to need more interactions. Now, we cannot even start, talking about user stories without actually talking about the Scrum framework. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to give a bonus tip right now. So Scrum is a framework under Agile. Just take that as just another freebie that I'm going to be sharing with you in the session. So if you're ever asked and that's a trick question, by the way, if you're ever asked, what is the difference between Scrum and Agile? I want you to bear in mind, there's this analogy I like to use a lot because I feel like it's very, very basic and it's easy for people to understand. Think of Agile as a big tree, right? I use this a lot, a big tree. Just think of Agile. When you think of Agile, think of a big tree that has multiple branches. Now, Agile, Scrum is one of the branches on the Agile tree that you just envisaged in your head now. Scrum is just one of those branches. Now we have other branches like Kanban, but the focus for today is going to be the Scrum framework, right? So now like I mentioned earlier, there are other frameworks on the Agile, but our focus today is going to be Scrum. And this is because Scrum is one of the most widely used tools in Agile. Now we say here that, Scrum is, okay. Scrum is a framework, within Agile, which people can use to address complex adaptive problems while productively and creatively delivering products of the highest possible value. Just forget about that. That's a lot of English, right? Forget about that. But when we talk about Scrum, right, we talk about the 3-5-3 or the 3-3-5 framework. Do we have football lovers in the house? Anybody that watches football here, those your formation 5-7-7, formation 2-2-2. I don't know. Anybody that watches football, I don't watch football, but I know these are things that I hear a lot, I come across a lot. Yeah. So in Scrum, we actually have something like that, but it's called the 3-5-3 or the 3-3-5 framework. And this is the 3 stands for 3 roles, 3 artifacts, and 5 events. 3 roles, 3 artifacts, and 5 events. Now, these 3 roles in Scrum are, your product owner, your Scrum master, and the development team. Those are the 3 roles in Scrum. Now, your designer, your tester, they all fall under the development team in Scrum, right? And then the 5 events are, things like sprint planning, daily stand-up, sprint reviews, sprint retrospective, and backlog refinements. The 3 artifacts that we then have are like the product backlog, which is what is sort of like a vision or sort of like a to-do list of the priorities of the project or the products, right? And then we have the sprint backlog, which is the known work to be done, right? So think of it as, you're making plans to cook, maybe a pot of soup, for example. I saw a lot of people from Nigeria here, Nigerians in Nigeria. I'm sure you eat egusi, you eat afang. So you're making plans to cook the soup, and then you actually have to make a to-do list. Maybe you need to go to the market and you say, okay, number 1, I want to buy dry fish. Number 2, I want to buy melon and everything. And you go ahead to list every single thing, right? You go ahead to list every single thing that you need to do, right? Now, when we talk, that's your product backlog. And then when we talk about the sprint backlog means maybe you have listed 500 tasks or 200 tasks that you want to carry out. But then you agree with me, you can't do all 500 of them in one day. So you decide to say, I can do 10 today, and tomorrow I'll do another 10. So then you go into that product backlog and you pick out 10 things that you can do, that you prioritize, that is the most important thing for you to do. Pick out 10 things and then you work on that. And that is what makes your sprint backlog. Don't worry, I feel like I'm even jumping ahead. I don't want to confuse us. So I'm going to, touch base on that later, just in a few more minutes. But if you want to learn more about, the roles, the events, and the artifacts in Scrum that, I just talked about, sign up for a course at Analytics. Pay for the Agile Project Management course. That is where we'll be able to get into the nitty-gritty. But today, remember, we want to talk about how to write effective user stories. So now let's look at this diagram on my screen. It really just represents, the Scrum framework. Here, you can see the potential software changes, which are the features, the fixes, the technical work that needs to be done. And this is what then translates into the product backlog. Now, if you remember, I said your product backlog is basically a total list of your to-dos, every single thing that you want to do. You could have 500 different things on that list, right? It's not limited to saying, oh, you can only have 10 or you can only have 20. You can have as much as you need on that list. But how do you then make your sprint backlog? You go into that product backlog and pick what you can take on for maybe the next 2 weeks. Because remember, I've talked about sprints in Agile. Sprints are time-boxed iterations. So in Agile, we work in sprints, meaning we box out maybe 1 to 4 weeks. It depends on your team. You can decide to box out 1 week or 2 weeks. Though the most popular one is 2 weeks. You box out 2 weeks to say, we're going to do number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 in these 2 weeks. So where do you get those tasks from? You pick it from the product backlog and make it your sprint backlog. That is what translates into your sprint backlog. So this is what is going to show the amount of work or the amount of stories that you can tackle in a period of time, right? And then you get onto your product increments. This is actually what gets done, right? So yes, you had a list of 500 things in your product backlog. You go into it and say, you know what, I can handle 20 20 of these things out of 500. I do 20 in the next 2 weeks. Then you pick out 20. But what do you actually get done? Because sometimes you make plans to do something and then maybe there is an issue or there is a blocker or there's an impediment. And instead of completing all 20, you can only manage to complete 19 or 18. Now that 19 or 18 is your product increment, is what actually gets done. So I see chats. That is what actually, gets done in your sprints. So that is what we refer to as, your increments. And finally, you have your shippable software. I mean, that goes without saying. So now let's move on. Any questions so far concerning what I have covered? I can see Tracy's question in the chat. Don't worry, I'll get to it. But just concerning what I have already covered, do we have any questions before I move on? So we are actually on a time crunch because remember I said I want to make this as fast as possible so as not to eat into too much of our free time. So you might want to just quickly type your questions in the chat before I move on. But if I don't see anything, I'm going to assume we don't have questions and I can go ahead. Nobody's saying anything. Okay, I'm going to take your silence as a yes. All right, so we are moving on. Like I said earlier, right, your product's backlog lists all the work that needs to be done on the projects. And you need to remember that, the product owner is responsible for the product backlog, including its content, its availability, and priority ordering. But I want you to, just note that as an agile project manager, it's also important that you get the skill. Forget about, product owner. Most times when people say you hear product owner, I think we're talking about product management. But remember when I was talking about, just flexibility and how you can easily transition in agile project management, the role of a product owner is also something that you can take on as well. So the product owner is responsible for the product backlog, including its content, its availability, and priority ordering. And like I mentioned earlier, a product backlog is never complete and it evolves along with the product and the environment in which it is used. So if you look at this image right here, you can sort of see the team trying to, decide or determine the amount of work or that each task will take and then prioritizing them to say, okay, and this is a small task. I think we can complete it in 2 days. Let's add it to our sprint. This is a huge task. It's going to take 4 days, but let's take it on. Let's add it to the sprint. So this is how they're able to come up with their sprint backlog, which is basically what they're going to be working on for that time frame of, 1 to 4 weeks, like I mentioned earlier. Then we hear a lot about Jira. This is just a snapshot of what your product backlog would look like on your Jira. Don't worry, I'm going to walk us through Jira soon, but this is what it's going to look like. Sorry. And finally, we've gotten to the star of the show, how to write an agile user story. So to write an agile user story, you need to first understand what epics are, what features are, and what a user story is. I'm going to be very fast as possible, because I also want to take us into Jira to walk us through some practicals. But an epic basically is a large, high-level body of work that breaks tasks into smaller and manageable bits, which are called user stories or features. It says it here that an epic represents multiple features. And an epic represents multiple features or many stories, and it can take months to build and works. It works at the release level. Now, the epic is what your end user tends to focus more on. So for example, say you want to build a house. This is another analogy. When people get to know me, these are, analogies that I like to repeat a lot because it just helps to understand. It helps beginners, people that have literally no prior experience, zero experience, understand. Let's say we want to build a house. Now, an epic could be to build a smart kitchen. There's so much, we know there is so much that goes into building a kitchen. It's not just build a kitchen. I mean, we're going to install our cabinet. Maybe we want to have like an island, a kitchen island in the kitchen, want to have heat extractor, the gas install, things like that. There's a lot of work. So just saying build a smart kitchen does not cut it. Maybe you want to install, there's some people that install ACs in their, I don't know, my slides are moving really fast, so please bear with me. I am just, okay. So apologies. I think I am touching this a little bit too much, but I was talking about, just trying to build a smart kitchen, for example. The end results, you know how we said the end result is what the users tend to focus on. What the user knows that he or she wants is they want a smart kitchen. So maybe your house owner, the person that actually owns the house, wants a smart kitchen. That's their business. That's what they are going to focus on. Why do we use Epics? Epics makes it very easy to organize our work. So it doesn't look like our board is all over the place, especially if you have stakeholders on your board. It is very important to just look very, very organized. And then we move on to a feature. What is a feature? A feature is a smaller piece of functionality within an epic, but it is still larger than an individual user story. It says it here, features are smaller than epics, but they are bigger than stories, right? And they can take weeks, possibly one or more iterations to build. Remember, when I said iterations, I was talking about our sprints. So one iteration could be 2 weeks, another iteration could be another 2 weeks. So we're saying here that features can take possibly more than one iteration to build. And they're also what customers or product owners tend to focus on. Going back to our kitchen analogy once again, we have agreed that we want to build a kitchen, and that is our epic, right? So now a feature within this epic would be to install the kitchen cabinets. It's a specific, very specific part of the kitchen building process, but you can also still break down this kitchen cabinet, install the kitchen cabinet. You can still break it down into multiple user stories or tasks. For example, you will need to assemble the cabinet frames, which is a task, right? Maybe there's one of the carpenters, or the furniture men, need to assemble the kitchen frames on the floor first and maybe mount it before actually moving on to, installing the cabinet itself, right? You need to mount the cabinet on the wall. It's a small task, but it's a task. You need to add maybe finishing polish, maybe gloss or whatever on the wood. That's another task. Maybe you want to add decorative handles as well. That's another task. So all of these tasks or small user stories, they come, into this feature, which is to install kitchen cabinets. Can anyone give me another example of what they think a feature could be? In this, we're building a kitchen now. We're building a smart kitchen. What do you think a feature, just going by this example I have just given, what do you think another feature would be? I'd like to see comments in the chat before I move on. Maybe just one or two, and then I can move on. We don't have a lot of time. Comments in the chat. Anyone? Are we sleeping? Have I lost us? So install a smart fridge. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Someone else wants to try. Give it a go. Don't be shy. Come on. Don't be shy. Is it because I'm speaking English? Don't be shy. Put your thoughts in the chat box. But let's just talk about user stories finally, right? We say user stories, install the island. Thank you so much. Install the gas cooker. Thank you. So now let's look at what user stories are. They are the smallest increment of value. They take days, perhaps a week or two at most to build, and it's what the development team tends to focus on. Let's just, let's talk about user stories. How do we write these user stories? You want to first define your end user. Now let's leave the kitchen analogy for a bit and move on to what we have in this image here, just by the right-hand side of my screen. You want to first make sure that you define your end user. Who is the person that's going to be using your products? In this image, we're saying we want to build a nanny cam. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with nanny cams. There are things that, new mothers put in their children's rooms, especially for mothers that do not sleep with their babies. So cameras that you put in your baby's room that is like monitoring your baby, and then you can connect it to your smartphone. So that if you're in the kitchen, if your baby makes a move or something, or if your baby wakes up and is crying, you know that your baby's crying. That's a nanny camera. So we're saying we want to build a nanny camera. How do we write an agile user story for this nanny camera? First, we want to define our end user, because remember, like I said before, we're not building this project or product for ourselves. We're building it for someone. So always want to make sure that we come from the perspective, of that person who's going to be using your products. For the nanny camp, it's going to be a parent. So we start off with as a parent. Next, you want to specify what it is exactly. What is the solution that you're offering? What do they want? As a parent, I want to check on my sleeping baby without entering his room. And next, you want to describe the benefits, the what or the why. Okay, you want to check on your sleeping baby. Why do you want to check on your sleeping baby? Right? What will you get? If I tell you, that's, it's sort of how, if I'm trying to sell this product to you, I'm going to tell you that, madam, this is what you're going to get. What will you gain from using this product? So that I will know he's safe without disturbing him. So you don't want to actually step into the room. You don't want to wake your baby, but you want to be able to know that he's still sleeping. He has not covered his face with the blanket. It's not sleeping in a way that is not safe. You want to be able to track this. That is the benefit. And then finally, you want to add your acceptance criteria, right? What are acceptance criteria? These are really just, things that would help you, to sort of tell your developers what exactly it is that you want done. What determines that this story is done? For example, we are saying that for this nanny cam, when the tester is testing it, once the tester connects, once they have built the camera and everything, and have built the technology to connect it, and the tester, because remember, you're going to test this before you actually release it to the public, correct? The tester connects his smartphone to it, and maybe they put it in the room and they ask someone, just walk in that room. Because now we have said this is a motion detector, right? So walk in that room and let me see what happens. What we are defining as the acceptance criteria is that if there is any motion detected in that room, an alert is sent immediately to the smartphone that is registered or connected to that, to that camera, to that nanny cam. So if the tester tests this particular product and this acceptance criteria, which is the alert that we have defined here, does not happen, that means the feature is not done or the product is not done. And you can always go back to the developers to say, look, I don't think this is what the project manager had in mind. We want it to be this, we want it to be that. This is how we want it to do, we want it to be done. So your acceptance criteria actually serves at least two, users, right? It helps you to let your developers know what exactly it is that you want to do. Because, sometimes when you're talking to people, right, you're telling people to do X, Y, Z, it's very easy for them to not exactly capture what it is that you're trying to tell them to do. And then when they bring it, maybe you're trying to create a new furniture in your house, and you just tell your carpenter and say, I want this closet to be really tall. I want it to be dark. I want it to have two handles. You're being very vague. And then when he comes and he brings something, in fact, sometimes even when we tell these artisans to, they even bring something that we didn't ask for. So imagine when you're not very specific, right? It will bring something that you're going to be like, I'm sorry, but this is not what I had in mind exactly. So that is why we use acceptance criteria. Now, another very important reason, like I mentioned earlier, is to help the tester. So now when the tester is working on, testing that product, they know exactly what to look out for. So let's look at some of the top tips really quickly to create a good user story. You want to first develop a persona profile to visualize who your end user is. In this case, our end user is our parents. You always want to write from your end user's perspective. Remember that is very important. You're not just coming to say, as a project manager, the project manager for this company, and I think that we need XYZ feature. No, you want to come from the perspective of the end user, right from your end user's perspective. Avoid adding too many technical details too early on, right? Not because I said this is going to help us, define XYZ. You allow you want to make it as clear as possible, and this will also help your developers to know what to create. You're not adding this and that and the third. You want to avoid adding too many technical details too early on. And then you want to try not to add too many acceptance criteria. Just keep it brief. Keep everything very simple. Break them up if you need to, and just make sure that your definition of done is stated. And like at the end of the task, when they're done and they test it, they can say, okay, this thing that you wrote here, this acceptance criteria that you've defined here, this task meets this criteria, and then we can say that this is done, right? So we have talked. Let's just look at very briefly a very quick example of user story, like I mentioned earlier. Like we're saying, as a college student, like I want you to look at this really clearly and just pay attention, because now I'm not coming to you to say as a project manager. I'm saying as a college student, I would like to see the total price of my carts as I add items. so that I can fit my budgets. I would like to see the total price of my cart as I add items so I can, even let's say this was, so I'm going to say this application, let's say we're building a website for college students to use, right? But let's even take it out of the college student perspective. Even you as, just users and users, when you're using a website and you're adding things to carts, you want to be able to say, okay, 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira. So that if you know your budget is 30,000 naira, you know when to stop. So this is a user story for a feature like that. And what this would help to do is it would probably result, the end result for this user story would be a result in a cart summary that is just near the shopping cart icon. So you can click on the shopping cart icon to see how much, all the products that you have, accumulated, how much they cost before you move on to checkout. So just to confirm, before we move on to Jira, am I making sense? Have I confused anybody so far? Are we good to go? Remember, I want to see some sort of energy in the chat. We do not have a lot of time. So please, let's just make it really snappy. I want to see messages in the chat box, maybe emojis, a thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know that I've not lost us. I've not confused us in any way. Anybody? Now it's pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet. Do we have, okay, thank you, Tessa, and thank you, Emmanuel. All right. So now we want to move on to Jira. We're going to be using this case study, and I want us to, just have this at the back of our minds, right? Pay close attention. There's certain things that I'm going to be saying in this case study that we're now going to move onto Jira to practicalize. So look at the scenario. A company is building an e-commerce website that allows users to search for products. So when I say e-commerce website, think of Amazon, think of Jumia. We have a lot of Nigerians in Nigeria. We have Jumia, we have Konga. For people outside of Nigeria, Amazon, maybe AliExpress, an e-commerce website like that would allow users to search for products. Now, the product owner has identified a key requirement. So pay close attention here. The product owner has identified a key requirement. Users should be able to search for products by name and filter the results by category and price. So what this means is, when you go on AliExpress and you're trying to search for maybe a new wig or anything, or, when you go on one of these e-commerce websites, you can actually type in the name of what you're looking for. If you're looking for a shoe, you can type in shoes, right? You can search for the product by name. Or you can filter the results by category. When we say category, people that have shopped, using Amazon or all of these, e-commerce websites, sometimes you see categories like women's clothing, sale, items of, clothes that are on sale, items that are on sale. You see categories like men's clothing, home appliances. So you can easily just filter those results by category. You're looking for a refrigerator under home appliances, for example, and not under children's toys, right? You can filter these results by category and also by price. So if you have a minimum and maximum spend, you can also add that filter, right, to this. Now, this is what the product owner said they want for their e-commerce website. So work with me. Now, the business analyst, in this organization, in this company, has been tasked to break down these requirements into user stories and add them to the product backlog in Jira. So forget that I said business analyst here. Remember, this is Agile project management. Agile project management has a lot of, transferable skills. And I was saying you can always transition into roles like business analyst, Scrum Master, and the rest of them. So now let's look at the steps to create the user stories during your backlog setup. Step 1, gathering requirements. Remember, the BA or the APM, the Agile Project Manager, has gathered the following high-level requirements from discussions with the product owner and stakeholders. Users should be able to search for products by name, full stop. So that's 1. High-level requirements. Remember, this is just for the sake of this class, so we're going to keep it very short, but just to make sure that you understand what we're trying to do here. High-level requirements, users should be able to search for products by name, users should be able to filter search results by category, and users should be able to filter search results by price range. Those are the 3 requirements. So now let us move on to Jira. Let's look at our Jira board. I'm going to share my screen in a bit. So perfect. So now please confirm that we can still see my screen and we can see my Jira board right now, my backlog. Can we see my backlog? Put it in the chat, thumbs up. No, so because we are trying to solve for time, I took the liberty of creating a Jira board for us, but I'm going to walk us through how to create it, and then we'll come back to this, okay? So when you sign up on Jira and you want to create, this is as a beginner now, you're trying to create a Jira board, right? You want to create a new project. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. The first thing you want to do is to come over here to where you have projects and click on projects. Here you can see all the recent projects that I have opened here. You can view all projects and also create a new project. So you want to click on create project here. Now, when you click on create projects, because Jira is Jira, Jira being Jira, we have a lot of project templates available to you, depending on what you want to use it to work on. You have software development, you have service management, work management. But for the sake of this case study, we're just going to be picking software development. Now, when you click on software development, it opens up more templates for you. Now we have Kanban. Now, remember when I was talking about, when we're visualizing Agile as a tree, we talked about the different branches on the tree. I said one of them is Scrum, another is Kanban. But for the sake of this demo, we are going to be focusing on the Scrum, framework. So we're going to pick the Scrum templates, right? So here you now have an overview of this Scrum template. Jira provides you with an overview, just tells you what the Scrum template is, how it works, etc. So you can decide to read through this if you want to understand, as a beginner, if you're trying to understand how Scrum works, you can read through this and then you select use templates. So now, it just says you need to create a new project if you decide to switch project types later. Excuse me, and this is fine. So now I want to pick a project type. We have the team managed project type and the company managed project type. Now, when you work with companies, you're probably going to be working with the company managed, project type, meaning that your company has paid for it. They'll just onboard you, right? So this is not free. The company managed is not free, but the team managed is free. So remember, this is a demo. We're just going to quickly use, the team managed project. So let's select this. And then it asks you to add project details. What's the name of your project? Let's call our project APM website, right? APM, call it APM websites. Remember, you can put, the name of whatever project it is that you're working on at the moment. And then one thing that Jira helps you to do is it sort of creates a key for your project name. So APM website is too long. So Jira shortened it to AW. So anywhere you see AW, it's the APM website project it's talking about. Now we move on to create projects. We click on create projects, just give it some time. And then just like that, we have our Jira board. You see, it says APM websites here, and here it says AW board. So do we have any confusions? Have I confused us? Did we understand how I just walked us through creating a project board, a Jira board as a beginner? Do we have any questions? Any questions at all, or can I move on? Okay, so a lot of silence. There's a lot of silence. I'm going to take that as, no questions. So you remember I talked about our backlog before, right? Our product backlog. I showed you a snapshot of what it looks like. But now this is how, we can add tasks to the backlog. The user menu to your left, you can see, so I see a couple of chats. Okay, so the user menu to your left, you can see, some options, summary, sorry. You can see summary, timeline, backlog, board. So you want to click on backlog and then you see it creates issue. This is where you enter everything that needs to be done. Register for its analytics course. Enter. What else needs to be done? Ask questions, be interactive. This is basically where you enter everything that you need to do for your projects, right? Now that we understand this, I'm going to take us back to the board that I created for that case study. Remember, I said I took the liberty to create that board just so that we don't waste too much time. But I've shown us how to do it. I've shown us how to create your board and how to add tasks to your backlog. So now let's look at the backlog, what we have here. I don't want to waste too much time with this. We call this project the e-commerce web application, right? And I've added things to the backlog, just like how I showed you. Now, remember from our case study, we had 3 different requirements. We want the users to be able to search products by name, want them to be able to filter results by category, and we want them to be able to filter results by price range. So I'm going to show you the very first one, and then I want us to work together to come up with the user story for the second one, which is filter results by category. So look at my user story here. Now, remember, like I said, we're coming from the endpoints or the standpoint of the user, the end user. So I say, as a user, I want to search for products by name so that I can quickly find what I am looking for. Can anybody, just sort of identify the 3 different parts of this user story? Remember, we have 3 different parts. We have the end user, right? The goal, what they want, and then the benefits. So where do you see how that falls into this user story? As a end user, I want to search for products by name so that I can quickly identify what I'm looking for. Now, I went ahead to, draft out some acceptance criteria for this particular user story. And I said that I'm telling the developers that are actually going to be working on this, that users can type a product name in the search bar and view relevant results. I'm sure we all know what a search bar is. When you open, e-commerce websites like Amazon, you see a search bar where you can actually type in what you're looking for. So now I'm telling developers that we need to have a search bar in the first place, right? For users to be able to type something, there needs to be a search bar. So they need to build a search bar. And when they build that search bar, they can type a product name and view relevant results. So what that means is if they're looking for shoes, it shouldn't generate thoughts for them. It should only show them the different types of shoes from different vendors, relevant results. Then my second acceptance criteria, I said to the developers, I want the results to appear within 2 seconds of entering the product name. So you agree with me? That's just great. It helps with, great user experience. If you're using an application, imagine you go on Amazon and you're trying to look for something and you type baby shoe and then you have to wait for an hour before it shows you results. You get tired and probably just drop off from that website. So the next acceptance criteria is to say that I want the search results to appear within at least 2 seconds of entering a product name. So it should be very fast. And finally, I say users can perform partial searches. For example, if you're about to type shoes, and when you type SHO, it should start showing you, do you mean shoes? Do you mean show glass? Things like that. Users should be able to perform partial searches and see relevant results. Now, I kept it very brief and simple, but do you just see how I've been able to tell my developers exactly what it is that I want from them using my acceptance criteria? So now anybody that looks at this as a developer, they come onto this board and look at this, they understand exactly what it is that I'm asking of them to do. So now let's just take one more. I want us to try in the comment section. I want us to try to write a user story for this second requirement, filter results by category. I want us to just try pretty quickly. Let's just try to write a user story for filter results by category. I can't see anybody trying anything in the chat. Are we still typing? I'm going to just give us a couple of minutes. Just think just going by this example. Let me open up this example again. The way this example is structured, this one, I want you to try to write a user story for the second requirements, filter results by category. I feel like I've already given expo. I've given a lot of expo already. So right now I'm looking in the chat box. I'm waiting to see what we have for me. This is not I'm not enjoying this session because it's not very interactive. I feel like you're snubbing me a lot. I want end user to be able to search for products by category. Ekene, that's a very brilliant, very great attempt. Thank you for trying. This is how we learn. I want us to try, just try your hands at things. Remember, you want to define the end user as a comma. I want to, comma, so that I can, so in order not to waste too much of our time, let me show you really quickly just what I have, added to this. As a user, I want to filter search results by category so that I can refine my product search based on specific product type. So what this user story simply means is I want to be able to filter, I want to add filters, maybe category. Like I mentioned earlier, you see things like items on sale. That's a filter, on different categories: sale, men's clothing, women's clothing, baby's clothing, home appliances. And then you can easily click on home appliances and then search for a refrigerator, for example. So that is what this user story is basically saying. And then remember our acceptance criteria. I went ahead to, tell these developers what it is that I need from them exactly. I say I want users to be able to select a category from options and see only relevant products in that category. What this means is there should be an option in the first place. When the user clicks on the search bar, they should be provided with at least maybe 10 different categories. They should then they can select a particular category. And when they select that category, they should only see relevant products in that category. For example, a category is called women's clothing. If I select women's clothing, I only want to see clothes for women. I don't want to see babies' clothing. I don't want to see men's clothing, only clothes for women. So only relevant products in that category. That's the first acceptance criteria. And then I say, I want the category filter to update results dynamically without reloading the page. So for example, you click on women's clothing. You don't have to now start all over again. It should automatically load by itself very fast. That's what I'm telling developers, that once somebody clicks on women's clothing, it should load up without having to reload the page, turn off your internet and turn it back on. And then finally, I say only available categories should be shown based on the current product data. Only available categories should be shown based on so that means if we don't sell baby clothes, there should not be a baby clothes category. Or even if we sell baby clothes, but it's out of stock, there should not be a category, because that's not a good impression when your user now select baby clothes and then nothing is shown to them, right? So we only want the available categories to be shown. Now, I don't know if I've been able to understand just how acceptance criteria works. How does it work? Do we have questions on this? I want to quickly move on to other things that, we're here to do. We want to talk about, the cost of the training, just getting an APM, Agile Project Management, and Scrum Master training with analytics. So that is more important. I just wanted to show you a snippet of the kind of value that you'll be getting. And I can't take Jira in 1 hour or in 30 minutes. So I feel like for that alone, you should give me a lot of kudos. You can't teach somebody Jira in, 1 hour. But if you want to learn more, I would just encourage you. Thank you, Tessie. Tessie says she's feeling me. Thank you so much. I just encourage you to, pay for a course, pay for the Agile Project Management course. Then you'll be walked through these things step by step, even more detailed than, what I've shown us today. But now let's move on to, the main business, the main things that we are interested in here. I've walked you through, what's the word now? I've walked you through Jira. But now let's come down to this, right? We've talked about Jira. We've learned just, surface level, how to use Jira really quickly, right? And I can't take all your questions. So just in case you have a lot of questions, right? I cannot take all of your questions here because we have to, so I just want to confirm that you can still see my screen. Okay, great. So I can't take all of your questions here because, we have very limited amount of time. I can't take all your questions here. So if you have any questions, just please ensure to, fill the attendance form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat box. I've seen that they've dropped it a couple of times and I'm sure they'll still drop it more times before the end of this session. And make sure to include your email addresses so that when you put your questions on that form, our reps can easily get across to you with answers to your questions. Right. And if you're just joining us now, or you joined a bit late, you didn't start from the beginning, don't worry. All of our sessions are always recorded, and you can have access to it, after the class. So once you, fill the attendance form, we'll be able to send the recording across to you as well. So if you have stuck with me up until this very moment, please drop something in the chat box. Drop an emoji, drop a letter, drop a number, drop anything. I want to know we are not sleeping, especially for my Nigerians in Nigeria, people joining us from Nigeria. Drop an emoji. Ekene, thank you very much. Ekene seems to be a very active person in this class. Thank you. Okay. Now, I know we may all be wondering, right? Why is this the right career path for me? I mean, I've spent the last hour talking about Jira. I've talked about user stories. Why is this the right career path? Right? Anybody can know how to use Jira or Trello. Anybody can learn it. I'm sure you probably have friends that maybe learned how to use Jira 3 years ago, and they're still maybe job hunting. There are lots of people like that. So how do you know that this is the right career path for you to get into, right? How are you sure that, you're saying, I know this person that is, as knows how to use Jira, has not gotten a job. So how am I sure that if I even learned this other project management, I'll be able to get a job? Now I'll answer that question for you. Here at 10 Analytics, we are very much concerned about sustainability, right? Sustainability is at the very core of everything that we do. So what this means is we are not just trying to, offer courses that maybe in the next few years, they are not really needed anymore. They're not needed anymore, or they go out of style, or, in the next couple of years. We want to offer courses to jobs that are very sustainable, jobs that, in the next 5 years, the demand for these jobs will just keep growing. So it's not just another tech skill that you get and then nobody's looking for agile project managers anymore. Let me go and learn something else. Let me learn cybersecurity or something else, for example, right? And yearly, what we do is we go to all the major job boards that you can think about. I'm talking LinkedIn, I'm talking Monster, Indeed, Flex Jobs, all these job boards. We scrub all of them for jobs with the most occurring listings. So I want to see, for example, agile project managers, just in the past year, how many job listings do we have in the UK, for example? I would say, oh, wow, we had about 4,500, job listings. That means they needed maybe 4,500 agile project managers got hired last year or last month. I want to look at all of these jobs that, have the most occurring listings. And then we pick out these roles, and then we analyze them based on 3 different criteria. First is the ease of learning. So how easy is it to actually learn the skills for this job? I mean, yes, we have a lot of jobs that we hear about, crypto, Web3, and the likes, but those are not exactly the easiest skills for a beginner to actually learn, especially somebody that already has other responsibilities. I'm sure a lot of us here already have 1 or 2 things that we're doing, and we're just looking to transition into the tech space. So, just learning Web3 right off the bat is not the easiest thing. So we look at these jobs and screen them based on, number 1, ease of learning. Next, we look at the ease of transitioning. How easy is it for you to transition into this role as someone who has maybe prior experience working at other jobs, right? Prior experience, you have never worked as an agile project manager, but you have worked as maybe a teacher, for example, or other jobs. How can you easily transition into this role? How easy is it to not only even transition or pivot into this role, but to actually excel at the role? So when you're in the role, you actually know what you're doing. Are there any transferable skills that are needed for these roles that you as an individual might already have? For example, maybe someone that is already skilled at public speaking and knows how to just be in charge of teams, you know how to get things done, you know how to put people together and make sure that the work gets done, right? Someone like that will find it very, very easy to pivot into, a career pathway like agile project management when looking to break into tech. And finally, the last criterion that we look at is high rewarding salaries. I mean, let's face it, that's why lots of us are here today. I remember somebody put it in the chat earlier that when she takes tech, she's thinking, to learn and make more money. We want the high rewarding salaries. So we also screen these jobs based off of that criterion as well. Do these jobs actually pay well? Right? Do these jobs actually pay well? what are the average salaries for these jobs across the different regions? So how much are they paying Agile project managers in the UK, for example? How much are they paying Agile project management in Canada, in Asia, in Africa, things like that. We look at these things. And then, this analysis, just doing this internal analysis on our own, influenced our decision to pick 8 very distinct courses. And Agile project management was one of those courses. But you know what? Like, it was just not important. So it was not enough to just do that. We didn't just want to stop there. And you agree with me that, 9 times out of 10, when we want to do something, when we are doing something about ourselves, there tends to be some sort of bias. I cook rice and I cook this. I'm like, oh, well, I think the rice is sweeter. Maybe because rice is your favorite food, right? So we say, just to make sure, just to take out whatever bias could have been in this, and just to even make sure that we're correct, right? We decide to take it a step further, and then we decide to seek external validation to make sure that the data that we have done, we have carried out our own analysis, but want to make sure that this is correct. So what did we do? We went on the web and we said, let's look for reputable reports from, different bodies, reputable bodies that have no affiliations with analytics, that don't know analytics from anywhere. We don't even know them from anywhere, but they are reputable. And then we came across the Future of Job reports. And this report was just released about 2 weeks ago from the World Economic Forum. This report is also available to you. Remember, everything is linked on the slide. When you get the slide, you can take it, you can check it, but you can also go on the web, and just look for the World Economic Forum report. Are you able to see this report that I'm showing you on my screen right now? So we went ahead to check the future of jobs from the World Economic Forum reports. And on my screen here, you can see 2 columns of jobs, right? We have a list of jobs on the left, a list of jobs here on the left-hand side. And then we have a list of jobs on the right hand. So not to bore us with too many details, because I'm sure a lot of us will also want to go and take a look at this report on our own. Long story short, the jobs on the right are jobs that have been purported to decline in the coming years. So I'm talking in the next 2 years, these jobs are going out of style. It's just the way when we talk about AI, we say, oh, AI is the new thing. AI is, taking over. AI is, these jobs are going out of style, but there are also new jobs that are coming up and demands are increasing in the market. And those jobs are the jobs on the left-hand side of my screen, right? Those jobs are the jobs on the left-hand side of my screen. And you can see very clearly that Agile project managers management fall on the left. Now, although there are a lot of jobs, listed here, we are going to be focused. I'm only going to focus on APM, which is Agile Project Management, because that is why we're here today. And I want us to take note that when we see project managers here, we're not just talking about the traditional project managers, because remember, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of organizations, if not all of them, are transitioning or sort of, moving into Agile, adopting the Agile way of work. So now people are not looking for the traditional project managers anymore, but they're looking for Agile project managers. All right? Agile project managers, so looking for Agile project managers. And that is why I just want to say to you that the fact that you have even taken the first step to be in this session today actually shows you that you're on the right track. Because according to the Future of Jobs from the World Economic Forum report, these are jobs, this is a list of jobs that would only increase in demand in the coming years, meaning that it's not going to be that in the next 2 years, nobody needs Agile project managers anymore. They need something new. These are jobs that would stand the test of time, right? The next 2, 3, 5 years, 6 years, we are, in this job, in this role, and we're able to excel, in these roles. So you can just see on my slide, we say it always seems impossible until it is done. So let's look at, just some of the success stories. And know a lot of, another question on our minds right now, right? Like just thinking about it, how you're like, oh, but I have zero experience. Like this babe, this lady is just, she's just trying to sell. I have zero experience. How possible is it for me to actually take a course, right? And break into tech in the nearest future? How is that even possible? That's the question on your mind. I know a lot of us, we're not going to say it, but that's what we are thinking right now, right? And the short answer to that question is yes. That's it, like YES, yes. So if you had joined our session earlier, we had some of our testimonials playing out just before the main session started. You would have heard from a lot of people. We have been able to successfully help over 2,500 professionals transition into tech with zero experience. Like I'm talking zilch, little to no experience at all. Over 2,500 people. That's a huge number of people that we've helped to transition into tech with zero experience. We have a lot of people like, for example, we have Lois, who was working as an accountant and procurement specialist with zero experience in tech. Like it's very important for us to, pay attention to this, with zero experience in tech. And she was able to secure a job as a business analyst in the UK after completing one of our programs, leveraging the project management skills that we teach here at Analytics. So we have a lot, a lot of testimonials, a lot of them. You can check our YouTube. You can, once you get the slide, you can also click, click here to watch. So these testimonials are all also linked. I mean, we can have an entire session dedicated to just testimonials. That's how much, testimonials that we have. And I cannot possibly go over everything now. So I just want us to, after the session, go on YouTube if you're curious, check YouTube. And when you get the slide also, just make sure to go over the slides and watch some of these recordings that have been linked here for you. So now let's move on from the testimonials and let's just come to the cocoa. Who is an Agile project manager? I've been talking about Agile project managers since, and I know that a lot of us in this session, we've possibly heard about Agile project management, but we might not necessarily know everything that it entails. So who is an Agile project manager? An Agile project manager is someone we call a servant leader, right? Who helps the team to work effectively within an Agile framework, ensuring that the project delivers value to the customer through continuous delivery, adaptation, and improvements. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned this earlier, but I would like to just chip it in now that, continuous delivery is very important in Agile project management. And that's why earlier when I was taking us through, our sprint backlog, our users backlog, if you remember, I talked about iterations. You want to make sure that you're constantly shipping value. Let's use an application that is, widely used by everyone here. Let's talk about WhatsApp, for example. Now, you agree with me that just maybe, I can't remember, but roughly, let's say 2015, as of 2015, we did not have status uploads. Like you cannot upload status on your WhatsApp story. I think as I did, it was only Facebook. Facebook would say, what are you feeling now? What is the mood, right? And you can just post the status. But we didn't have that on WhatsApp. But now we do. And now you can even upload voice notes on WhatsApp today. It's continuous delivery. What that means is they're working with Agile methodology, meaning that they're able to listen to what's trending, what is ready now, for lack of a better word. What is ready? What do people want? And ship it. So you're still using WhatsApp. It's not like they shut down the app to release a new feature, but you just wake up one morning and you see that I don't understand. What is this? There is a forum. I think there's something called forums on WhatsApp now. You just wake up and you see it. That's a lot of work is going on the back end with the Agile project manager leading the project team and the tech team to just make sure that there is continuous delivery to your customer. There is adaptation. So what this means is your customer's preferences might change, right? Over time. It's very possible that your customers wanted oha soup last year. Oha soup was raining, but now we don't want oha anymore. We like egusi. Egusi is what is raining. So you want to be able to adapt to the changing markets, not just from your end users, but also from your stakeholders as well. Like maybe the owner of the project, the owner of the company has like a new preference, wants to be able to adapt. And also, finally, something that is very important in Agile, improvements, continuous improvements. I've been talking for over an hour just to make sure we are following. I want to see some sort of activity in the chat box. I want to see activity, comments, emojis, letters, numbers, anything. Let me know that I still have people on this call that are actually listening to me and they understand what I'm saying. So I also want to make sure that I am delivering.
What am I looking for?
And the chat box. Thank you, Ekene. Thank you, Babatunde. Okay. Thank you. All right, now, so let's move on. So, I gave an example like WhatsApp earlier, but let's just go over the two different, like the main methodologies that we have in project management as a whole. So we have the traditional project management, which is the waterfall methodology, and then we have the agile or adaptive project management, which is what we are discussing here today. So for example, let's say you want to build an application like a mobile application, just like WhatsApp, right? And you want to use this application to enhance your customer engagement and also boost online sales. Now, if you go the traditional project management route, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to go through all of these stages that I have listed here on the slides, right? Your requirement gathering phase, your design phase, your implementation, your testing, and your deployment. Boom, 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 done, right? And after that, it's just maintenance. You're carrying out maintenance on your application. There is no iteration. There are no new features you're adding. Like everything is done. And one typical example of an application, that was built using this specific, methodology or process is Nairaland. How many of us are familiar with Nairaland? How many of us are familiar with Nairaland? Okay. I don't see anything in the chat. Does that mean, okay, Stephanie says she is. Thank you very much. Now, Nairaland, I can't even remember when Nairaland came about. I think maybe it was like 2010. And since maybe if I'm right and it was like 2010, just imagine it's been 15 years. And if you go on your phone right now or the laptop and you search for Nairaland, it looks exactly the same. Not even the color changed. Not one tweak was made. No change, no, continuous delivery. They just did one thing and they left it at that. And that is an example of a process, an application that followed the traditional project management process. Now, what makes Agile different, right? Agile, like I said, is an iterative process. Now, one thing I failed to mention was to do all of these stages in the traditional project management process, it'll maybe take you 7 months to finish everything. You have to finish all your requirements. You have to finish all the design. You have to finish all the implementation before you can start all the testing and everything. It's probably going to take you 7 months. Now, how does Agile stand out? With Agile, you can do this in 1 month. Because remember, you don't want to, the goal is not to do everything at once. The goal is to break it down or stage gate it. For example, the goal is to release, we're using WhatsApp, right? Release an application that people can use to chat with their phone numbers, right? That's the first thing. And as people are using it, we are adding a new feature to be able to upload your DP, for example. And then we just push that into the application. And people wake up next day, one day, and they just say, oh, I can actually upload a picture. And then while people are using that, we're working again on another feature to be able to upload WhatsApp statuses or stories, And once we do that, we also push it into the application as well. And then people wake up and you see, like, what is this? What is this WhatsApp story? And then people start to use it. It's an iterative process. So we prioritize continuous development. There is sprint planning, where the project is broken down into small manageable tasks that are completed in short cycles, and then continuous development and testing. So each feature is developed, tested, reviewed, and pushed out, right? Throughout the project, we keep developing, testing features and pushing them out. And like I said, frequent releases. So the app is released incrementally, starting with an MVP. So that is what I just talked about. Okay, chatting first, we'll be able to chat for now. And after 2 months, they push in a new feature, we'll be able to call, WhatsApp calls. And after that, they push in a new feature, we'll be able to upload stories. So like I mentioned earlier, customer involvement. Now, this is very key. Your stakeholders and your customers, you need to keep them involved throughout the entire project or the entire process to make sure that you get feedback from them on what the next steps should be. Now, if you remember, I think it was in the previous slide where I talked about continuous delivery, adaptation, and improvement. How do you adapt if you don't get feedback from people? So, how do you adapt? How do you know what is working and what is not working, what people like and what people do not like? You need to involve your customers. You need to involve your stakeholders in the process, in the entire development process, because they will help to tell you what the next thing is. For example, now we have Meta AI, because AI is what is reigning now. All of a sudden, WhatsApp added Meta AI because that's what is, they're like, okay, I think AI is where there's money now. Let's also put that. They quickly, improved and added Meta AI to it. That is just how the Agile project management process works. And finally, like I said, adaptability. I don't want to flog this too much. I don't want to overflog it. Like I said, Agile allows us as a team to quickly adapt to changes, incorporate new features. Oh, customers are asking for this. Let's quickly work on it and add it to, the application. That is what Agile helps us to do. Now, here we have all the things that you need to know as an Agile project manager or Scrum Master. If you're looking to break into tech, you're looking to become an Agile project manager, here's everything literally that you need to know. Of course, you're going to learn how to use Jira. You're going to learn how to use Confluence. You're going to learn how to use Trello. But as with every other course we offer here at Analytics, we take it from zero to hero, meaning we take it from beginner to professional. All our classes, we're going to start from the basics. So you're going to learn introduction to project management methodologies, like the basics, the foundations of project management. You're also going to be learning project management skills and communication, foundations of Agile and Scrum, understanding the Scrum framework. You're going to be learning the Scrum artifacts that I mentioned earlier, advanced Scrum and Agile practices. You're going to learn Agile metrics and reporting. I saw someone in the chat say they'd like to know how to use the burn up and burn down chart. That is one of the things that you're going to be learning if you take like an APM course with us. And we're also going to help to prepare you for the professional Scrum Master examination. So now we have an hybrid, learning structure here at Analytics. We have Saturdays for live classes. We have 2 sessions on Saturdays to be able to accommodate people joining us from, different time zones. The very first one, we have the morning session, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time for the guys that will be joining us from Europe, from the UK, and also people joining us from Africa here in Africa. Then we also have the evening sessions, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time for people joining us from the Canada and US. So we try to be very inclusive to pick a time that is very, conducive for these people. So you can't do both. You're going to have to pick one of the sessions, either the morning session or the evening session, whichever one better suits you. And then on Sundays, we have self-paced learning. We have what we call watch me do it videos, where you have access to an LMS, you go on there and you see videos that your facilitators have recorded for you. They show you how to use Jira. Like there's a pre-recorded video of how to use Jira, how to sign up on Jira, maybe how to write user stories on Jira, like breaking everything down. You can see it. That's a video you can watch and watch and watch all over again. And then if you have any questions whatsoever, you can write it down and come to the live class where you'll be able to talk to the facilitator one-on-one, just like you're talking to me right now. And this time around is going to be interactive. So it's going to be back and forth. They're going to open up the floor, ask me questions. What don't you understand? And then you can bring your questions from whatever it is that you watched in those videos that you didn't understand. You can bring it to class to learn. Now we have 2 learning options available to you, 2 plans, right? We have the 8-month plan and the 12-month plan. Now, both of these plans have something in common. What this means is you'll be spending 6 months in class. Whether you choose to go the 8-month route or you choose to go the 12-month route, you are going to be spending 6 months learning on real life case studies from companies, different companies that Analytics have worked with. Of course, because of data privacy, we're going to redact their names. But bear in mind, you're going to be using all the case studies you're going to be using are real life case studies, different scenarios. So you're going to have 6 months in class learning, right? And for the 8-month plan, like I mentioned earlier, you spend 6 months in class and 2 months doing a hands-on internship with our partner company called Amdari. We were able to partner with another reputable company to help with internships. So you'll be, after your class here at Analytics, you'll be moved into our partner company, Amdari, to carry out your internship. And in this internship, of course, I believe we all know what internships are. This is where you get the hands-on experience. Now you're going to be able to practicalize everything that you've learned in class. Remember, it doesn't mean that the classwork is just theoretical, but now we're taking you out of the classroom and showing you, okay, we're putting you in the real world. This is how projects work in the real world. And you're going to be able to have that experience to showcase and say, this is what I've worked on. This is my portfolio. Now, remember, I said we have 2 learning plans available. We also have the 12-month option. Now, what is the difference? What is the difference between both of them? For the 12-month option, you have 6 months learning in class and 6 months hands-on internship. That's the difference. So one has 2 months internship and one has 6 months internship. So which is best for you? I don't want you to feel, I'm not going to sit here and just try to sell, go for the 12 months. I'm not going to do that. You have to, at the end of the day, because this is something that you're going to pay for, I want you to get as much value as you can get from this. So I will make a recommendation for you. Which is best for you? Which of these learning plans is best for you? Now, if you're someone that has some sort of experience already, maybe you're just looking to upskill a little bit, you have some experience, you have some background in Agile project management, I would recommend that you go for the 8-month plan. However, if you're a beginner with zero experience, absolutely nothing, you don't even know what a project manager is or what a project manager does, zero experience, I would recommend that you go for the 12-month plan. Now, the 6 months learning that they have in common, you're going to be learning the same things in class, the exact same things, but the difference here is the duration of the internship. And why I would recommend the 12-month plan for a beginner, right, is because in this way, you'll be able to get to work on more projects. Imagine you have to do something for 6 months and somebody has to do it for 2 months. You have more time to work on different projects. Maybe this person that did it for 2 months worked on 3 projects. You might work on 9 projects or 10. You have more time to work on different projects. And this would also help you when you're trying to, apply for these jobs so that you can properly position yourself as someone that is applying from a point of experience and not just from a point of learning. Because I might be wrong, but personally, I don't believe in entry-level roles. I don't think they're entry-level roles because even you see entry-level project manager, entry-level agile project manager, and you see they require some sort of experience. So this is why we also encourage anybody that trains with us here at Analytics. We encourage our students, we encourage our participants to put it out there. Never put it that you were a student at Analytics. I want you to say that you were a consultant. You consulted at Analytics, you worked at Analytics. So that way you have a portfolio to say, while I was consulting at Analytics, these are, some of the works that I did. You can showcase your projects. Now that's just sort of gives you a higher up or a higher leg over somebody that has no experience, that has never worked in any company before. Because like I said, even these entry-level roles, they're always asking for experience. Now, just to show you that there are a lot of different career pathways and opportunities for you. I keep saying, maybe because I'm an agile project manager myself, but I love this path so much because it is very versatile and there's so many things that you can do. You're not just boxed into, I took the agile project management course with Analytics. I'm an agile project manager and I'm just an agile project manager. You can do so many other things, right? You can apply for jobs as a Scrum Master. You can apply for jobs as an agile coach. You can apply for jobs as an agile project manager. You can apply for jobs as a technical Scrum Master. You can apply for jobs as a Scrum team facilitator, a lead agile coach, a project coordinator, and a lead project manager. Now, bear in mind that this list is not even exhaustive. Meaning, this is not all, but for the sake of this, meeting, because if I continue, we'll sleep here. I'm very passionate about, agile project management. So if I just continue this way, we are going to sleep here. But these are some of the roles, these are some of the different careers that you can start upon completing our program, and also business analysis as well. So let's move on. Like I mentioned earlier, I just want you to notice all of our programs come with internship to make your CV and your portfolio stand out. So you must be able to build a portfolio to showcase your skill, which is where the internship comes into play. So, once you get this slide, you can take a peek at this portfolio to just see, this business analysis portfolio, see some of the projects that they have worked on. Hey, I've been talking for 1 hour and 30 minutes. I have been going on and on and on. But how do we actually land the job, right? Here we use the job offer equation. How do you actually land a job? I've been talking about Jira. I've been talking about, project management basics. How do you get a job? That's why a lot of us are here, really. How do I get this job? Like I mentioned earlier, we use what we call the job offer equation, T plus E. T is your technical skills, which only make up 50% of what you need to land a job. So yes, it's okay to know how to use Jira, you know how to use Trello, you know how to, Scrum, Kanban. That's okay. but that is only 50% of what you need to land a job. And of course, I mean, with us here at Analytics, that 50% is guaranteed for sure. Sure banker, like my Nigerians like to say, sure banker, you get the 50%. But what about the other 50% that makes up this equation? What about the employability skills? You're actually in luck because we also focus on helping you to get those soft skills that you need to not just land a job, but to actually keep those jobs. It's not enough to just get those jobs. You want to stay there for as long as, you're willing to, before maybe you transition into a higher position or move up, on the ladder. So now we're equipping you with those soft skills to help you to land the job. Not just help you to land the job, but also help you to keep your job as well. And this is what sets 10 Analytics apart. This is why we are unique. Now let's look at the employability skills that we offer. We offer 10 different, what's it called now? Services. 8 different services, right? In the global job market today, it's not just enough. I can't stress this enough. It's not just enough to be an Agile project manager. You also need to be able to package and position yourself well to actually get these high-paying jobs. And we Nigerians, I'm a Nigerian. We Nigerians, we like packaging. You hear it a lot, packaging. You package yourself very well. And so what do? We offer CV review and revamp sessions. These are sessions where we'll provide you with a lot of templates to work with, to look at and sort of tailor your CV to, and then we'll teach you how to tailor your CV to different jobs. Now, one mistake that a lot of people make is having one CV for multiple jobs. You want to have one CV, use it to apply for Agile Project Manager, use it to apply for Scrum Master, use it to apply for business analysis, analyst, use it to apply for, it doesn't work that way. You need to be able to tailor your CV to fit the job description of every single job that you're working on. And that is something that we're going to be teaching you. So we're not going to be doing it for you. We're going to teach you how to do it because there's only so much, how they say you can, some people say, I'm trying to remember is it the adage now? You can teach a man, instead of teaching a man, instead of constantly giving the man fishes, you can teach him how to fish. So we're going to teach you how to review and revamp your CV. Then we're going to teach you LinkedIn optimization. How do you better package yourself and position yourself for these high companies to even find you in the first place? There's something that we don't know about, the hiring process. Most times before these job listings actually make it out, sometimes the hiring manager, they go on LinkedIn and they just go, there's something we call Boolean search. I'm not going to go into that now, but they just go and search for the role that they're looking for. For example, they're looking for an Agile project manager. They search Agile project manager, and then a lot of names pop up. LinkedIn shows them a lot of names, and then they can go through people's profiles and reach out to them and say, I don't know if you'd be open, would like to have a conversation with you. A lot of organizations do that. That's something that happens on the back end that we don't even get to know. So before the job actually even makes it to, they're posted on LinkedIn, they're posted on Indeed, most of these organizations have actually gone on LinkedIn to search for this job. So how can you package your LinkedIn to be that when someone searches for an Agile project manager, your name pops up? Even if it's 500 results, your name is one of the 500. Your name is even top 20. How do you do that? We're going to teach you how to do that as well. That's LinkedIn optimization. And then we have number 3, navigating the job market. Here we're going to be bringing professionals in the field to come back to the classroom and teach you about the do's and don'ts, how to identify great jobs, people that have made mistakes that can come and tell you that these are the mistakes I made when I was applying for a job. Don't make this mistake. They're going to be able to share tips and insights with you in the classroom. Seasoned professionals, people that have worked, that have years of experience, that have something to bring to the table. They come back and they mentor you, they teach you, right? They have a conversation with you to just sort of tell you, look, when I was starting out in my career, I made certain mistakes, this is how you can avoid them. Next, number 4, we have interview preparation. Now, this is something that is very juicy. This is something that even when I joined Analytics, I was like, wow, because it's not enough that we are just giving you the technical skills. We're saying, oh, you know how to use Jira. Good. Apply for jobs and get a job. Bye. We are also going to be walking you through. So when you apply for jobs and you get an interview, right, we are going to have a one-on-one session with you to prepare you for that interview. You can actually book a one-on-one session with your facilitator to say, hi, I just got feedback from a company I applied for, for a job I applied for, and my interview is on Monday. Please, can I get an interview prep? And a seasoned professional would come on a call with you on a one-on-one session like this and have a mock interview session for you, just sort of prepare you and tell you what you should expect in your interview. Now, not a lot of companies do this. I'm sorry, maybe because I'm a analytics staff, but I mean, it's only analytics I know that does this. You can't beat this. That's why I say it's not just enough to have the technical skills. You need some of these little nudges, right? These employability skills, that's what we call it here. Employability skills, you need some of them. Next, we have job reference letters. Now, for people that are applying for jobs in the UK, the Canadian market, the US, Asia, most of these regions, these companies need reference letters. Now, if you remember when I was talking about, what was I talking about again? I was talking about how I told us how we encourage our students to not say they were students at analytics, but to say they were consultants at analytics. What that means is you have a previous employer, correct? So when you get these jobs, most of them, they need a recommendation letter from your previous employer. That is where analytics comes in for you. We will provide a recommendation letter and say, while this person worked with us, this person was a professional, we'll help you to, add all of the things that you need to get that job, right? We'll provide that for you. Number 6 is on-the-job support. We do this. We provide on-the-job support for as much as 1 month after you actually get a job, right? You land a role. Maybe you don't really know what to do. You still need some sort of guidance. We're here for you. But this, I'll be very honest, this doesn't happen a lot. And I think that's a pro, because what it means is we've overfeed our students so much that when they get a job, they know what to do. But just in case you don't, we offer on-the-job support. You can always reach out to say, I have this task at work. I don't really know how to go about it. And you'll get on a call with one of our professionals. You get guidance on how to go about that. Number 7, we have weekly mentorship sessions. So every single week, we have sessions where we train you on how to answer interview questions. Now, I talked about how like your CV is literally like what gets you into the door. That's like your first step, right? It's your CV that gets you in. But remember, it's not enough. You also have to go through the interview process. Now, how do you leave a mark in the mind of your interviewer? Because remember, 9 times out of 10, you're not the only person they're interviewing. They're probably going to interview 20 people, 50 people. How do you stand out? We're going to teach you how to answer interview questions the right way, using approaches like the sit and the start approach to answer questions during interviews. That is how you'll be able to leave a mark. Like, even if they don't exactly remember what you say, your name is just going to stand out. So we have these sessions every week to walk you through this. And last but not the least, we offer Upwork optimization as well. So if you're looking to also branch into freelancing, I know a lot of us have heard about Upwork. Maybe we don't know how to use Upwork. It's analytics day for you. I just need you to do like this, because that is also something that we are going to offer. It's part of the package, either the 8-month plan or the 6 months, the 12-month plan, depends on whichever one you go for. All of these services that I've listed are part of it, right? Upwork optimization, we're going to teach you how to optimize your Upwork, how to land these freelancing, high-paying gigs on Upwork as well. Now we have, I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of success stories that I can't even go into now. There are a lot of them. Just read through. When you get the slide, I want to encourage you to actually read through the slide. Come to these testimonials, the success story, read what people like you are saying to us. People like you are coming back to say, oh my goodness, I am so happy. I just got into tech 3 months after I'm landing a role, this, that, and the third. A lot of them actually. And I mentioned that we can have an entire session dedicated to testimonials, to success stories. So, I'm just going to encourage us to go over the slides. And now, if everything I've been saying resonates with you, right, you can join our next cohort. So we have a new cohort that opens up every month. So for example, we have one happening on the 8th of February. next month. February is here, just here on the 8th of February, and we have another one on the 8th of March, and then April, just like that. Every single month, a cohort opens up. So you can join our next cohort on the 8th of happening on the 8th of February. And like I mentioned before, our 8 months plan and our 12 months plan, our 8 months plan is currently running for 900, but we have a special discount for the first 20 people. So instead of paying $900, you're going to be paying $750. So you have 20% off. Also, the 12 months plan, instead of paying $1,200, you have 20% off. For the first 20 people to register, you're going to be paying $1,000 instead. And, I also forget to mention that you can also stage gate your payment. So it's okay if you don't have $750 to pay at once. You can pay $150 per month for the next 5 months. For the 12 months plan as well, you can pay $125 per month for the next 8 months. So we have helped you to spread the payments to make it more easy. I know that we're grown adults. We have a lot of responsibilities. Some people have to cater for their families, right? You might not be able to just drop $1,000 at once. So I've helped you to split the payment. You have, you can pay $125 every single month for 8 months. Now, once again, it's linked here how to make payments. I'm sure my colleagues will also share that with you. But just to show you what this looks like, I am going to be taking us to that. So once you click on that link that is linked in the slide, it takes you to our enrollment platform. Here, you can enroll for a course. You can chat with us. You can get access to all the program brochures that we have. And like I mentioned, we have early bird discounts. It's for everything that I have mentioned, we're even offering discounts. So here you can see, join our next cohorts and take any of these programs that you're interested in and land your dream tech job, right? You just need to scroll down. You'll be able to see the full training calendar, the day that our new cohort starts. Like I said, the next one starts on the 8th of February. We have another one on the 8th of March, another one on the 5th of April. You can see the training calendar on here. And then you have a payment registration form. So now we're talking about Agile project management. Let me just walk us through really quickly. I think we have a few more minutes left. Walk us through how we can pay for Agile project management course. So when you're here, you can pick either of the learning plans that we have, the 8 months or the 12 months plan. Let's just use, for the sake of this presentation, let's use the 8 months or 12-month plan. Sorry, it's coming up. Just give it a few minutes. Just give it a few minutes to load. Meanwhile, I see some chats in the chat box. So, like I said, just in case I don't answer all of your questions, I can see my colleagues dropping. Okay, I don't know why this is taking so long to load. I can see my colleagues dropping the attendance form in the chat box. So just please ensure to fill it out, put your questions in there. A rep would be in touch to answer your questions for you as best as they can. So now my payment link is coming up. I think the internet is just, yes. So this is what it looks like when you pick, one of the learning plans that we have, depending on the one that you want. And now remember, I said first 20 people during the course of this session. When I started this session, we had 20 seats available. And now I opened the session right in front of you. I can see 18 seats. So that means while I was talking to you, 2 people from a previous session that I had have made payments. We just have 18 seats available. So after these 18 seats have been taken up, you would have to pay full price. The 20% discounts would not, what's the word now? Touch you or apply to you, right? So now on our platform here, you can choose, depending on where you're joining us from, the currency you want to pay with. You can use the United States dollar, depending on your region, right? If you're in Canada, you can pick the Canadian dollar. Everything is here. So let's just use the United States dollar. And once you pick the currency that you want to work with, it automatically populates. And then you see the equivalents in the currency that you chose. Now you can decide to pay once, a one-time payment, or, like I told you, we have helped you to sort of stage gate your payments. You can decide to pay for 2 months, meaning you pay $475 two times, right, for 2 months. Or you can decide to pay for 3 months, $334.40, right, for 3 months. Or you can decide to pay for 4 months, which means you're going to pay $250 for 4 months to make a total of 1,000 USD. Now, there's something that I want you to note here. For these first two payments, this first two, one-off and, just paying twice, you'll be able to save $50. Anything after that, you're paying an extra $100. You can see the total here says 950 USD, but here it says 1,000 USD, 1,000 USD. You're paid because, we just know that $1,000 in your pocket right now and $1,000 in your pocket by December is really not the same thing. So because of that, there's an extra $50 if you choose to go any of this route. But just, feel free, whatever works for you. You can choose to make payments however you choose, stage gate your payments. So let's say you choose to pay for 8 months. So every month you're paying $125 for the next 8 months. Once you select this and you click on secure your seats, you see a prompt that tells you to review your payment structure. So what this means is it's telling you that you're going to be debited every 29th of the month. So it says USD, today is 29th. So it says 125 USD due to today, which is, you're about to pay right now. Another 125 USD due July 29th, June 29th, July 29th, May, April, March, just like that, right? Due today, due 29. Okay, so February doesn't have a 20, due 28th of February, 29th of March, 29th of April, 29th of May, 29th of June, just like that. And if you click on procedure, you just have to enter your card details and proceed to make payments. Now, once you're done with all of that, you're going to want to come to, you're going to want to go back, to the main stack link. So I think I might need to open that up again. Yeah, you're going to want to come back here, right? And upload your payments receipts. But not to worry, there's a part where it says upload your payments. You can upload your payments receipts here and a rep from 10Analytics will get in touch with you immediately. But if you also have questions, if you at some point encounter any issue just making payments, remember, you can always contact us, can chat with us on WhatsApp, you can reach us anywhere really. And even in this feedback form, you can, just a rep will get in touch if you have any questions to help you out. If you're struggling with making payments as well, all you have to do is signify. So that brings us to the end. I have used a total of 1 hour, 50 minutes. I was trying to be on time. Remember, the discount is only available for the first 20 people. And now we have 18. We only have 18 seats left. So I want you to try. And one thing I failed to mention is, even if you don't want to take your class in February, I forgot to show us that, but it's also there. Even if you don't want to take your class in February, you want to take it in March, right? I will just encourage you to pay for your seats now and secure your slots, because remember, we have 18 seats left. After that, you have to pay the full price. So you can actually make payment now and defer. There's a place where you pick an option to say, I don't want to start February cohort, I want to start March. But what you have done is you have secured your seat so that if anything happens in March, I'm sure we all know how the economy is moving, and then prices go up, it will not affect you. You're still going to be paying this exact price. That's what it means to secure your seat. So that is something that I want to encourage us to do, just in case, even if you don't want to join in February, want to join in March, you have the option to defer, but try to secure your seats. Like I said, our achievements updates, all of this you can go over, when you get the slide, you can see where our participants, some of our participants, just some. I feel like I should highlight this text, so put it in caps. Some of our participants work currently in these organizations, people that we have helped to transition into tech. You can see all of this important information is linked in the slide. So you're going to have access to this when you see more and more and more testimonials. I want to stop scrolling now because the testimonials just don't stop. But I want to see if we have any. Let me just check the comments, the chat box, and just see.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for taking out your time to join this session. I hope this was a valuable session to you. I hope you got some sort of value from this. Like I mentioned, try to secure your slots as soon as possible. Secure your seats. As I'm talking to you, maybe one has even got it. Maybe someone has made payments and it's now 17. So I want to try to make payments as swiftly as possible. And remember, if you encounter any issues at any point, feel free to reach out to us at Analytics. We will, make sure to attend to you. So at this point, I am going to have to let you go and maybe give you 8 more minutes of your time. So you have extra 8 minutes that you started out for this session to do other things. Once again, thank you so much for joining. And I hope to see a lot of the names that I'm seeing here in like the February cohorts, the March cohort as well. I'll be watching out for, some of you. And if you enjoyed speaking, to me, I am one of the facilitators here. So if you sign up, if you, secure your slots, if you make payments, there's a very high chance I will be the one taking you in class. So I will look forward. I'll be looking out for, I've taken a better note of all of the names here. I'll be looking forward to seeing you in our next cohort. And thank you so much for listening. Bye for now. So I will stop sharing now. And thank you.